Okay. Hello. Welcome to this Google Hangout edition of Marketing in a Digital World here at the University of Illinois. As part of this course, I'm trying to keep the content fresh and updated through a variety of techniques, one of which is a new segment that we're calling Interviews with Outside Experts. And as our first outside expert, I'm happy to have this conversation with Annkur Agarwal. Annkur is the co-founder and CEO of Pricebaba, which is one of the leading price comparison apps in India, and one that we feature in our course in the third module on price comparison apps. So welcome, Annkur. Thank you for joining us. Can you say a few things about yourself and your company?
Sure, Professor Aric, thank you for having me here. It's a great opportunity, so thank you. Pricebaba is a product discovery engine. We focus on the Indian market, and we help consumers find the best prices for mobile phones, be it online or offline. Pricebaba pioneered the online to offline market in India, so we started connecting users researching for mobile phones online to local retailers back in 2012, and today we are seeing significant traction, and the space is picking up.
Cool. So you're a fairly new company. So you've been around for about 3 years, it sounds like.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit? Oh.
Sorry?
Can you tell us a bit about, so you're 3 years old. Can you tell us a bit about the scope and size of your business? How many customers, how many retailers are participating?
Right. So we are serving around 5 million users every month right now, and we are sending business inquiries worth $100 million to local retailers every year. So Pricebaba is serving a certain percentage of India's internet population already.
Wow, I mean, that's incredible growth in just 3 years. Congratulations.
Great, thank you.
Could you tell us a bit more about, so most of this course is based, of course, on my experiences, largely, I'd say, sort of American-centric. Of course, here we have a very global audience.
Right.
We have, in this class, only less than 1/5 of the learners are from the United States. And the second largest country is actually India, with about 12% of our learners. So could you tell us a bit about the state of digital marketing in India and how it might compare to, say, the US or Western Europe?
Right. I haven't spent too much time outside India, but I've spent a few months in California. So that was 2 years back. From my experience, what's happening in India today is that consumers are shifting to mobile as their primary device much faster. And for a lot of consumers, or many more consumers in India, mobile is the only way they can connect to the internet. So in US, the economy saw the rise of desktops, the invention of desktop, and the early adoption, and the industry reaching a peak, and then the mobile revolution happening. With India, mobile came in fairly early and at the right time, and that's why more people have mobile phones than desktop computers or laptops. So that way, the small screen dominates what would account for computing in India. At the same time, the whole mobile apps revolution that we are seeing, like on-demand services like what Uber is in US, we are seeing a lot more potential for such businesses in India, because a lot of consumers today just can't use a large screen and broadband internet connection to connect with any of the internet services. So that's definitely one trend. Another trend, of course, is in India is that people are still not used to paying for online services. So something like WhatsApp is a standard in India, but nobody really pays for it. So those whole micropayments and in-app purchases and people paying for consuming say even paying a single dollar for WhatsApp to sort of renew their subscription, that doesn't happen in India. So there's an economy of free. People are used to using everything on the internet for free, and that's sort of the culture over here. In US, I would still expect people to pay for certain additions within an application. In India, that rate will be much lower.
Okay. So you addressed some of the differences in the technological platforms, but how about the difference in terms of the customers? So in the U.S., you have an aging population. We have a very low birth rate, and we have this large baby boomer population that's getting older every year. And my understanding is India is a much younger population. So is this age difference affecting, you think, perhaps differences between the two countries?
So most of the consumers that we see using Pricebaba are in the age bracket of 18 to 24 years. So they are fairly young. A lot of them are still students. I think I don't have any concrete data on how that is different or how that differentiates from the US market, but I do understand that the purchasing power of an Indian consumer will be much less. So the amount they can spend is much less. And second, the consumer in India historically and culturally are very, very price conscious. So that is something which I've seen. So loyalty has been, you would expect doesn't exist in India. So like I am very loyal to buying on Amazon. I have my credit card on file for years now. I've been shopping online from Amazon.com and now Amazon India. So that way, I don't know if the Indian, like what I would expect in US, if there is thinkgeek.com, even if I want to buy ThinkGeek products, I will actually be very happy buying it on Amazon because I'm so used to Amazon service, customer service. I have my payments on record over there. In India, probably the thinking for a consumer will be, where can I get it cheapest? If it's cheapest on a new website or some other site, I will find it and I'll go there. So the stickiness is much lower. The loyalty is more towards where I can get a better pricing. So that's one cultural difference I've seen.
Okay. So, I mean, given those characteristics, you talked about having lower purchasing power, perhaps a lower level of brand loyalty, and more price sensitivity. It sounds like it's a perfect condition for a price comparison tool such as Pricebaba. Could you tell us a bit more about how these price comparison tools work?
Right. So we actually position Pricebaba as a product research engine. So we want to help consumers choose what to buy, where to buy, and how much to buy it for. But if we had to look at, yes, price comparison in India could be a very good business because people are very price sensitive. There is another hook into is another difference in the Indian market, that the prices are very standardized. The manufacturers control pricing to a large extent, and that is why there are no real discounts as such. If you look at US, a Best Buy or a Circuit City would be able to clear their old inventory at heavy discounts, or there are real discounts happening. In India, what's actually happening is most of the discounts online are being funded by the retailer themselves. So the online marketplaces are actually paying out of their pockets to discount products. And the idea behind this is to acquire consumers, to build trust on the online medium. So that way, there is a fundamental difference between the US market and the Indian market. Prices over here are much more controlled. So the price difference between products ideally should be much less, but there are price differences because the players are burning a lot of money just to acquire consumers. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we will see how this market pans out. Once there is pressure on e-commerce companies to actually make a profit, that's when we'll really know how much price comparison as an industry will kick in. But I think as price comparison, we have to stay with the end user. So any price comparison company across the world has to see what the user wants and build loyalty with the end user. The retailers, the prices, all of that may change, even the products may change. But if a consumer is used to using a certain service to discover products, discover prices and make a transaction, I think that's valuable.
Cool. So, so you talked a bit about the broader marketplace in terms of the price structure. And I think most people understand how these price comparison tools or product evaluation tools work from the consumer standpoint. But how does it work from the other side, from the retailer? How do you get all of this this price and product information? It sounds like it could be a lot of work.
Right. So it's actually fairly it's sort of known science and fairly done and dusted to get online prices. So a lot of players internationally have been doing it for well over 10 years, getting crawling and using APIs to get prices from the online retailers and showing them online. I think the tough part which Pricebaba does is actually going to local retailers in India and mapping their inventory online. So that is a tough part because these retailers do not have systems, they do not use technology, they are not as internet savvy. So there's a much more effort from our end to educate them, give them the tools and bring them online. For online price comparison, given that the Indian market is still fairly simple, if you have around 15 to 20 e-commerce sites on your platform, you've pretty much covered over 95% of the market. So you did not have, there isn't as much work to do when you're doing online price comparison. But when it comes to mapping offline inventory online, there is a significant amount of work to be done.
So it sounds like at Pricebaba, you're actually combining the digital and the physical.
Right.
So you're doing this API web crawling, getting the digital prices, but you're also, it sounds like you're sending Pricebaba employees or agents to actual physical retailers and getting them to reveal their prices to you. Is that right?
Right, absolutely. So what's happening in India is, and what's a stated fact, that most consumers are using internet to research what they want to buy. But when they actually do a transaction, they actually walk into a physical store, they want to go out, touch, feel the product, and then buy it. So internet is a great medium to choose what to buy, but the transactions mostly happen offline. And for that reason, we built Pricebaba. We let you do all the research online, choose the product, see which local shops around you are selling this product, see their prices, book the product online with them, and go and pick it up at the store, or just walk into the store and then figure, sort of haggle the price a bit and then buy it.
Okay. So in the US, we have perhaps more showrooming, perhaps something, you may have more web rooming in India.
I think, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised for a commodity like mobile phones, this to go towards the US market, where people walk into a physical store and then buy it online. But the anchor for that would be if the prices online genuinely become cheaper. And I will have to wait and see if that really happens, because right now the discounts that I'm seeing online are largely funded by the marketplaces. They are not naturally cheaper online. If the market has to be left as it is, online and offline prices will be pretty neck to neck. In fact, offline may end up being a little cheaper also. But given that the marketplaces are discounting, online prices seems to be cheaper at the moment. So I think the India market is still shaping up. My firm belief is that retail will remain fragmented. There will be a good piece of market offline, a decent piece of market will move online. There will be small retailers, there will be large format organized retailers, and there will be the online retailers. So all of them are going to survive, and there will be fragmentation in how retail exists. And I think that's the right way, because competition needs to stay. The consumers, of course, have, in this case, a lot of options. And that's why I think for any product research engine or price comparison like us, it makes sense to be loyal to the end user and keep giving them all the options available. And the consumer is the king. They choose what they want.
Well, that's really interesting. So it sounds like you're predicting that the digital will not fully replace the physical, that we're going to have both exist in this ecosystem. And perhaps that explains why in this age of email, I'm still getting physical mail. It seems like my physical mail hasn't slowed down at all. I'm getting more than ever, it seems. So this leads actually to my last question. Where are things headed? I know it's a quickly changing digital marketplace. I'm sure especially in a country like India. Can you offer some predictions of what this domain will look like in 5 years?
Right. I think mobile as a platform will be huge in India. I think that will be the case globally, and I think we're already seeing that. The dominance of Google, I think, is under attack with a lot of e-commerce sites, or at least Flipkart starting this revolution by saying we'll go app only, and a lot of new services in India which are only on an app, and there is no Google layer or no search engine which lets you find them. So people are now, at least the businesses are thinking that we should have a dedicated app on the user's phone, and that is the entry point, or that is where we just cut Google and Google search and all the ad revenues which Google makes to give us access to our consumers out of the way and directly go to consumers. I think that is a really big threat for Google. So what may happen is that a lot of business will shift to app only, and Google may not hold as much authority in directing which user sees what content. The users advertisement may still play a large role, but users will discover content within apps, and that's where there is opportunity for people like Flipkart to say that we can be much more profitable than an Amazon, because we go an app only model and we are not commoditized. We need not fight on pricing because I own the consumer. I have already given them an app which sits on their phone permanently. With respect to shopping and shopping research as a domain, I think there is plenty of room in helping a consumer choose what to buy and helping them use a product they already have better. So if as a product research engine or a price comparison, if my relationship with the consumer is only when they are making a purchase, that relationship will end in a few minutes. A consumer will only come back to me once in 12 or 15 months when they're buying a new phone. But what if I, as Pricebaba, can tell you that, hey, you've been using this phone for a long time. It's time to upgrade your phone now. And this is, hey, here's an offer from Flipkart to buy this new phone. That is interesting. Or when you are using that product, we, as a service, could help you use that product better. Or if it's, say, in a domain like fashion, and I would really like someone to do this, is there's no price comparison in fashion. You don't buy a shirt looking at where it will be cheapest. You will look at a shirt and want to buy it by knowing how well it would look on you, and is this something that is my taste. So discovery plays a large role. So can app like Pricebaba go through your Facebook or Instagram feeds, look at what things you like, what clothes your friends were wearing when you liked their pictures, or which pictures of yours have got more like and traction and comments, and suggest you clothing according to that hey, this will look good on you, or this is as per your taste. That kind of intelligence, sort of, it's more like a Google Now experience for shopping. I would be very interested to see if people are able to create these kind of experiences in the next 2 or 3 years. And of course, there is this whole concept of virtual reality. I'm yet to fully comprehend how this will affect the e-commerce universe, but given that Microsoft, Facebook, Google, everyone are investing heavily on virtual reality, we may well enter a domain where we may be, we may just get you could be able to sort of feel a product much more like in real life by just sitting at your desk and looking at a sort of holographic screen around you.
That sounds really exciting. Actually, you hit on a number of interesting issues. First of all, in terms of virtual or augmented reality, we actually have a segment of that in the course. In our second module, we have an interview with an expert, Alan Craig. So if you haven't seen that Annkur, perhaps you could take a look at that. But it sounds like what you're really describing is almost a merger between these price comparison or product review platforms with social media. So almost like an integration.
So the way I think of this is that a consumer has limited amount of time, and holding a user's attention going forward is only going to get tougher. So given that everything around us is about convenience, from sending email to we have moved to using more of WhatsApp or doing a Twitter, or we used to write blog posts like 5 years back. I used to write one blog post every week. Now I send out like 10 tweets a day. So, and it takes me lesser time to do that. So that way, I think whatever services are being created, it will have this whole feel of let's take the minimum amount of users input and time and deliver what the user wants. And that is how we can expect humanity to make more out of the 24 hours they have every day. And given that we seem to be heading towards that future as technology progresses, services will have to become more omnipresent, a layer which exists and does not take the user's active attention, but just shows up when the user really needs it. So those kind of technological advancements will need to happen. And I think a lot of large companies like Google are at the forefront of doing this, but there are equally good opportunities for startups to do the same as well.
No, I think you paint a very optimistic portrait of the future where we have this this leveling the playing field. We have these shorter, right, faster, more innovative, newer products that the little guys can do it perhaps just as well as the big guys, given access to all of these great tools. Could you say a few words about where we can find more information about Pricebaba, where we can learn more about what you're doing?
Right. The best way is to, of course, log on to pricebaba.com and take a look at the product. Apart from that, if you just do a Google search about Pricebaba, you will find a lot of videos, a lot of interviews about Pricebaba in the media. And there are some very good reviews which covers the work we do with local retailers. So if you look at Pricebaba interview or Pricebaba profile, you will certainly come across a lot of in-depth interviews which talks about what we are doing in India. At the same time, I am always available on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ANNKUR, Annkur. You can just ping me.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Annkur?
There's this little thing on marketing. If we have a couple of minutes, I could tell you a little story.
Sure, love to hear it.
Okay, so I started working around 12 years back when I was selling mobile phones in India. And there was this occasion when I was a teenager that the guy who delivered milk at my house every evening started talking to me one of these days, and I was collecting milk and I wasn't really expecting a conversation there, but he started talking to me and asking me about what I do, about, he had heard about that, this kid around this place sells mobile phones. So I told him, yes, I sell mobile phones. And the next thing I was expecting is that he would ask me to sort of loan him a mobile phone or help him buy a mobile phone, which is the conversation I've been hearing for the last 10, 15 years now. So he sort of threw a googly at me and he said, we both do the same business. And I was like, how is this possible? I sell mobile phones, you sell milk. And that's where he told me that someone needs a mobile phone, you give them a mobile phone, you communicate the value of that mobile phone, why they need it, and they pay you money in exchange. Similarly, you need milk, I am giving you milk and I'm communicating the value over it, and I'm collecting money from you. In essentially what both of us are doing is we are fulfilling a need for the user, delivering value and communicating that value. So you are doing business and I am doing business, so essentially we are doing the same thing. That took some time to digest, but I figured that what he meant was that fundamentally as businessmen, as marketers, what we do is we deliver value and we communicate what that value is. And for any business or any startup that I come across, the question I always ask is, what is the core value that you are delivering? Is there merit in the value that you are delivering? And then there is a layer over it that you built is communicating that value, which is more on the marketing side. But you cannot do that marketing, that communication without having that value. And often I think that people are giving more weightage today to advertisement and the communication and the packaging, but they often forget that the core value has to be very strong. Like a Craigslist in US still works very well. I bought my iPad on Craigslist a couple of years back, and it is not the most well-packaged, well-designed product, but it just works, and there is tremendous value over there. And similarly, the only bit I would want to say is, if you're thinking of marketing, be it digital, be it physical world, always think of the core value and then the communication and the medium with which it would be communicated.
No, that's an excellent point. In fact, it matches very well the definition that I offer in this course, the definition of marketing as a process of mutually beneficial value exchange between a buyer and a seller, which I think is the same thing you're saying. Annkur, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck with Pricebaba. it sounds like your best years are ahead of you.
Hopefully so. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor, for having me on this.
Thank you, Annkur. Take care.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.